guess I should bring up Twitch
Right.
to comments.
We are live. Welcome back to podcast 7. So we're on our 7th podcast tonight, and it's all about Far Cry 5 now that we have the game in our hands. Tonight we have a few guests tonight. We have Johnny2 Fingerz, we have Lazy Mapper, we have Alpha Sergeant 14, and special guest Death Weapon. So Lazy Mapper, how you doing, man? What's going on?
All right. All right. Just been trying to work with the editor on consoles. It's been very difficult, to say the least.
All right. Do you want to introduce yourself and
Yeah.
do all your intro?
Yeah, I'm the Lazy Mapper. I have a YouTube channel, the Lazy Mapper. I'm also on Xbox. My gamer tag is I'm going to get you sucker. So I also have a small club going on with trying to get some maps, really good maps on there, and I'll try and make a YouTube video when I have a chance. I have a full-time job, so sometimes it can be difficult. I know Kemet is also on there, and we're looking to play some maps too. So.
That's absolutely fantastic. Johnny2 Fingerz, man, how you doing? Do you want to introduce yourself to everyone?
Sure. Johnny2 Fingerz. You can find me on YouTube, on Twitch. Rarely on Twitch lately, but I will definitely be doing more on there. Twitter, Facebook. It's all pretty much just Johnny2 Fingerz with a Z. Yeah, you can find me on any of those.
Fantastic. And we have Alpha Sergeant 14, man. How you doing? You good?
Oh yeah, I'm doing good. So you can find me on PC, Xbox. I don't have a YouTube channel quite yet. Working on building one up.
Yeah, yeah. Alpha should get one, man. You should get a channel, man, and shows all some of that good stuff.
Yeah.
Stop being lazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a normal map maker. Yeah.
That's sweet. And tonight we have a special guest, Death Weapon. So do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, how you doing, guys? That's Weapon. Yeah, I don't have any channels.
Another one. So tonight we've got a great panel tonight. And now that we've got the game in hand, there are a few topics that we are going to discuss. I should have had the topic in my hand, but I don't have it. But Dave release excitement and build up hands-on experience. Now that we've got the game in our hands and the excitement is sort of, the excitement of the past few weeks is sort of built up, and it's built up and then it's died down again a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Because of certain expectations. So I'd like to talk about like how you felt when you got the game in your hands, and what was the first thing that you lot did. I tell you what, let's go Death Weapon.
Well, the anticipation building up to it was pretty great. I mean, absolutely fantastic. The little videos got towards the end of it. The excitement built up quite a bit. With Liberator, it was kind of mixed feelings. A bit of a letdown on some of the assets and things, but
Right.
overall, it's a beautiful game. When I first opened it up and started playing.
Right. I mean, for for me personally, I've sort of put the map editor one side for the time being in the multiplayer system. I'm just sort of like, this time I'm concentrating on the main campaign. It's not something that I usually do, but I think what Ubisoft did this time is they actually steered me towards the story, and I'm a sucker for stories. So I have been enjoying the campaign and the story as well too, and reading through the book. Lazy, what's your thoughts on the game?
Well, I try to go right for the editor, but of course the game blocked me, and I had to.
Yeah, there is that.
I had to liberate that little island first, and then I went into the campaign.
They had to give you that little taste.
Yeah. But it was kind of odd seeing that error. It's like, what's going on here, But I also had issues when I ported my map. I had like an early build and I ported it over to the release version. So it took me a while to tweak it. We didn't have these clipping issues that we are experiencing now. And that was kind of disappointing with this clipping and the physics that are on some of these objects that are keeping people from making maps. It's real time consuming to look through all this clipping stuff that we haven't experienced in the past.
I'm sure we'll get to the editor real soon.
I won't go too deep.
Right now we're just sort of like concentrating on the main campaign,
doing the global
and just sort of the general excitement of like how you felt like when you actually got the game in your hands and you started playing it and so forth. So Johnny, how did you feel?
To be honest, like I think the anticipation leading up to the game coming out, I think I was just like way more excited at the build up of it. But then when I finally had the game, I downloaded it, it's on my system. I'm just like, it's here now. Like it just kind of was just like, well, I've got it. I think a lot of that was because I'm just really apprehensive. Like. I'm not comfortable having my hopes being so high for something, and just the bastards out there. They're really good at that, and it's just like I'm confident in Ubisoft right now, and that terrifies me. But getting my hands on it, naturally, the first thing I did, I went right into the editor. And like you said, I did have a lot of glitches and a lot of issues, and it was really stuttery, and just the menus were weird. And it was just like. I still tried to use it, and I probably messed around with it for a few hours. It's just like totally, absolutely love that aspect of it. But I'm not going to go into that right now.
Yeah.
But as far as the campaign goes, eventually you kind of realize, okay, I got to go into the campaign. It's going to reset my graphic settings. It'll make the editor work better. So getting in, I was not anticipating enjoying this single player campaign
as much.
Like I put out some videos. I was talking a lot of shit, and some of that was valid. Like a lot of the stuff that I was saying, it was validated. But there was, as far as like caring about what's happening in the world and like really being engrossed in the story, I was honestly shocked, and it was a little disturbing because Joseph's like looking at Joseph's seed on my screen. It was like, honestly, it's kind of like looking into a mirror because like he just has like a lot of similar facial features and stuff. He's wearing the shades that I'm always wearing all the time. It was just like this shit is eerie. And he's a creepy sociopath. I was really pulled in right away, and honestly, I'm looking forward to getting into it more. It's just like I just have to decide at this point: do I keep going down the road of the campaign, or do I keep working on the map editor? My intention is to do tutorials and stuff like that for the map editor, so I kind of like.
You can do a bit of both. It doesn't.
I really want to get into the campaign though. And I didn't think that I would. Honestly, I thought that I would just be like, okay, it's fun. I'll mess around there a little bit, but I'm totally hooked. I was after about 2.5 hours, something like that, of playing it. I streamed my first impressions of it. I was just blown away. So good job, Ubisoft.
Nice. So Alpha, what's your thoughts on the? Did you get to play the main campaign at all, or did you just do what most people did, straight into the editor?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's what I did. Went straight to the editor, and I did go into the campaign, which it was a little weird how we were forced to play like the first mission in order to access the multiplayer.
Right.
But,
yeah.
I guess that's just their way of having us like focus more on the single player, which I thought was kind of a creative way to do it, but even though like restrictive.
The fact that they forced you. I had to do it 3 times.
That'd be annoying.
I had to do it 3 times. By the time I'd done it the 3rd time, I was a fucking expert on it. So excuse the language, but it's one of those things where for me personally, when a game forces you to do something or pulls you out of something to do something, it kind of it's distracting. Do you know what I mean? I don't like being forced to do something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Me personally.
Well, that's the whole theme of the main villain. He's just forcing baptisms on people. This was Ubisoft forcing that, forcing the baptism on you. They're holding your head underwater, like enjoy the campaign.
But regardless to that, for me personally, out of all the Far Cry's, and I did say that Predator was probably my favourite one because it sucked me in more than the others. And don't get me wrong, Vass was brilliant. But it was just Vass that was in there. Do you know what I mean? And I felt it was like a really good campaign. But I have different tastes and different preferences. They've done a really good job on selling me the story, and it's an incredible story. I've tried playing with all the UI off, the HUD, or the HUD elements off, and it's an absolutely incredible game. Seriously, playing with all the the UI off, it's incredibly hard, but it's actually quite fun, to be honest. So yeah, the main campaign. Who here read the book at all? The Absolution, Far Cry Absolution.
I read a good chunk of it. I still haven't finished it.
Oh, you still haven't finished it, right?
So yeah. So I mean, once the game came out, it was like, what?
Yeah.
Right. So again, that I suppose we can sort of like talk a bit more in depth about that once we've sort of finished the book, finished the game, and we've had that sort of intimate.
One thing I can say about the book is that at least what I read, it definitely sets the tone and gives you a little bit of a little bit more of the sort of essence of Hope County and the whole underlying theme of everything and just the attitude there. It really did kind of sell you on that quite a bit. So going into the game, I feel like that really did help immerse me. I don't know if it was just maybe subconscious or whatever, but I just felt a little more tied to the world because of that. So.
Yeah, I think their promotional material this time around vastly improved. As well.
One of the things that I think they've done really well this time is they've implemented in the main campaign. You see these arcades dotted around the map. Not just arcades, but they actually have posters that you can click on, and it allows you to get into the arcade as well too. So they have posters dotted all over the place. So I think for me personally, regardless to what issues we faced in the multiplayer, Ubisoft definitely have integrated the multiplayer and the editor into the main game because they want people in there. They definitely want people in there, and I think with all of the issues that are actually surfacing now, I just think that I really think that they are going to invest their time in that. Do you know what I mean? I really do believe, because there's no way that they're going to put those arcade machines in the main campaign and those posters dotted up all over the place about the editor, the in-game editor, and even rename it Far Cry Arcade. So it's got that easy, accessible name. You know what I mean?
That's what gives me faith that they're not going to screw around on this one. I've never had as much faith in Ubisoft as I have right now. I mean, they wouldn't have put so much to making all these portals into this one central hub.
If they hadn't have done that, I probably would have taken a more cynical approach to it. Do you know what I mean? Personally. Exactly. So I like the fact that they've done that. So everywhere you go on that map, there's either an arcade machine or there's a poster around, and it leads you straight into the. I don't know whether you can access the editor. I've not tried that, but I'm not sure whether you can access the editor. I'll have to hook that up and try that again.
I mean, it's in the menu. Through the arcade.
Yeah. It's
I just don't know if you can actually access it. I haven't tried.
Right. So that's the general build-up. So a lot of people, including other YouTubers, have given Far Cry, the campaign alone, the thumbs up. It's got pretty much of a good rating across the board. You know what I mean? Generally happy with it. What do you think about the Does anyone know about the implementation of microtransactions and the silver bars?
I do know a little bit about that, and I really, from what I can tell, it's not really that obtrusive. It's not like they're gonna like, it's not gonna hinder your gameplay at all, and it's not gonna give anybody else a particular advantage other than just playing through the single player campaign. At least to my understanding. I could be missing something, but it seems pretty benign, and I can't really blame them for wanting to make a little bit of, a little bit of extra cash off of that based on this sort of the amount of interaction that they've had with us and all the work that they've put into making this actually really good. So I can't really blame them, and I don't knock that at all.
Does anyone else have an opinion on these microtransactions in the main game?
Well, I look at it as every game going to microtransactions. If it helps to continuation of the game and keeps the longevity of it going, I've got no problems with it. If it didn't, I believe if it didn't have microtransactions, we would get a game that was completely abandoned after about 2 months.
Right.
That's kind of the running thing on what Ubisoft has done in the past, is they give support for a month or two, and then you hear nothing else from them at all, and you're just kind of left to the wolves. Right. So I look at microtransactions as a definite step in the right direction for them.
Right. So basically, it's an investment. So basically, that with a game that you're passionate about, the fact that they have microtransactions in there means that they're going to invest more of their time in there because they want to make money from the game.
Absolutely.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's what they're in it, is the money. They're not in it for the love of the game, for the fans. There could be some there, but it's more of they're a business at the end of the day, and they need to do what is profitable for them, and this helps to make it profitable. So therefore, more support.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense that they understand the sort of symbiotic relationship there. I mean, it's kind of refreshing that they're moving in this direction. It seems like there's a lot of shift moving in that direction, not just in video games, but just in corporate, the corporate structures in general, the way corporations operate. There's kind of a shift in direction to say, look, take care of the consumers, do this long-term engagement type of thing. And it's going to pay off in the wallet. Just as long as you're providing something that just excites and delights your consumer, you will have their wallets. And it's a really good business model that it just makes too much sense, and it's surprising it's taken this long.
See, the thing is, from what I've played with the game is a lot of there's not one item there that you can't actually gain through in-game currency at the moment. So nothing is actually locked behind those silver bars. Now, from what I've played, I have a choice of weapons, so I don't need to collect everything. I only I go through my menu, I select what I want. Okay, then I like this weapon, I like this sniper. Let me concentrate on this sniper rifle. I found some nice farming spots where you can go hunting and you can make in-game dollars. And to be honest, it has a level of realism. I see all of these other other YouTubers, they're actually large YouTubers. They talk about, as soon as you hear the word microtransactions, people go off on one for some reason. Yes, it does have a bad stigma, in the past because they have been intrusive on people.
Well,
you're talking about, people who work hard and they, because they work hard for their cash, they don't want these big companies always in their pockets or always in their bank. It really is intrusive, but they've made it. Sorry, one second. They've made it in a way where you, like, say for instance, you go hunting. Now in reality, if you go hunting, right, you go to a spot, you take your time, you hunt, you get your skins, you sell them, you make your money. That seems perfectly sensible and reasonable, right? And that's what I do. I go hunting, I go fishing, I sell my skins, I make the money, I get what I want, and on top of that, there's no grind. Like, I never felt for 1 minute that I had to grind at all.
Yeah, That was a concern for a lot of people too. Is that it was just gonna be this...
even when you play the multiplayer, you gain money too. So
right. Not only that, there's those prepper stashes and side missions. You can gain in-game currency, and you can gain quite a bit of it if you know what you're doing. There's no real grind to it. You know, so I felt that it was fair overboard. But if people just want a quick thing, I think that's what Ubisoft is sort of capitalizing off. You know, if people just want their, you know, they don't want to go hunting, they don't want to go fishing. Right, I'll just buy this instead. Boom. Do you know what I mean? And buy it, and fine, fair enough. If you got money
to do that,
if you've got money to burn, yeah, that's great. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So as for the microtransactions, I've seen worse. I've definitely seen worse. It's not intrusive. It doesn't hold you back. There's no real grind there. So for anyone who's turning around and saying that there's a grind, yeah, you know, you can go and run and jump off the nearest cliff. As far as I'm concerned. So yeah, I think that sort of covered the, you know, the main campaign. Now we get to the juicy bits. Arcade multiplayer. Lazy,
there's some people talking in the chat about this right now.
Lazy, I'll let you take the reins. Yeah, you deal with this one. Yeah, because I know you've been playing a lot of multiplayer. So
yeah, I actually made a map on the Xbox One. It's just it's kind of just a small map just to see how everything works. I know on the PC I had some issues porting a map because I had an early build of the editor onto the PC new release version, and I had all kinds of issues that wasn't really talked about with the devs. And I was saying, what's going on with all these clipping issues and all that? And they said they had to put them in because the editor was crashing on I guess at their, you know, at the studio. So they put these issues in, and basically it is when the object has physics and it's overlapping another object, you're going to have a lot of issues with validation. So when you're making a map, I would suggest you check validation a lot.
Okay.
To make sure you don't get lost, because what happens is you'll go back. I had like 20 something validation issues in my map, and I didn't even know where to begin because it doesn't really highlight what the problem is. Yeah, you have to like it shows you the general area. So I'm just giving guys a quick tip. You could delete the object, and then if that doesn't validate, then you can redo it again. You know, hit redo to bring it back, and then go do each item like that until you found what item is the validation issue, because it'll take you. It took me a day and a half to fix that, so it slowed everything that I had going on to a grinding halt. You know, because I was gonna jump in and do some videos and stuff, but that really slowed up my process. And then on the Xbox, I just decided, let me try that, and it's a lot different for me than the PC version. As Death Weapon has noticed, there's a lot of issues for the console guys. There's no symbols to show you what's destructible, and on PC it has symbols to show you what items are destructible. So if you want to make like custom objects, you got to sit in the map and like throw grenades at objects to see which ones are destructible or not.
So basically,
I was literally there for 7.5 hours doing just that. The first night that I got the game, you know, I rushed to get into the editor, and you know, it was like a kid on Christmas. First of all, waiting, and your parents tell you can't go in there to open up your presents for a while.
Yeah.
You know, and you get in, you find out that your map is completely broken as you make it, because you've got to figure out every single object to go through. You have to make sure that the physics don't break over and over.
You just have to run around with grenades and machine guns shooting everything to make sure it's not gonna.
That's not good, man. That's not good.
The sad thing is you can't even do that to validate, because when you go into explore mode, it'll tell you that it comes up with an error. So then you have to go to validate, and you have to select those objects first of all, because if they're sunk into the ground too much, you don't validate. If the area is not clear of the object around it, each object has its own barrier that it creates. And if that barrier is penetrated by another object, your map will not validate. Therefore, you cannot explore to see what's wrong with your map. So it's like I like to call it on Xbox, it's expert mode. You know, we don't get all the fun stuff that PC gets, and I feel like that was kind of a big letdown. You know,
that is a bummer, because I mean, at least on PC we have those object icons, like the orange little icon that shows, oh, this has physics and this doesn't. So you're actually able to be a little more aware of what you're placing in the map. And as soon as people had their hands on the map editor, they were talking about all these errors. That just made me literally, I just have avoided putting any physics objects in anything I'm doing currently because of that. And I'm actually able to see the icon. So, and that's the unfortunate, downside to the consoles currently, which, I mean, I'm really hoping that they just like patch this out, where they just at least give people like a little icon, a little bit of a warning, maybe an option to turn off the physics. It would be really
Absolutely.
nice if they did that.
Just a second, let me just cut the conversation a bit. I know there's a lot of people in the chat, and there's a lot of people talking about some of the things that actually need fixing in the editor. I would suggest that if there's anything that you need fixing or that you want fixing, I suggest you make a list instead of just sort of typing one thing in. Make a list of things that you that you feel that need fixing in the editor and the multiplayer, and go to Ubisoft forums and just post something there. Or what you can do is you can tweet me. So catch me on Twitter, message me on Twitter, or message me on Facebook. With a list, not just one or two things, with a list of things that you feel that need fixing, and I will post them myself. So my Twitter is exactly the same. It is Kemet1976. So look for me on Twitter. Message me on Twitter. Message me on Facebook. If you already have me on Facebook. If you don't have an account with Ubisoft, that is, or what I suggest you do is make an account with the Ubisoft forums and post in there. I think it would be in general discussions. I believe. I'm not 100% sure. Sorry, Far Cry 5 general discussions, or there'll be a specific what do you call it, forum for that. Anyway, inside there.
I'll put a link up.
No, I mean, this is something that I've been in the especially in the Facebook pages, the Facebook groups. There's a lot of people just like posting individual complaints, and that's really not gonna. It just comes across as being very complaining and not really being productive. Yeah. And I've literally told people, and they're like, just put together a list.
Right.
If you can't access Kemet, just give me the list, and we'll figure out how we can get it into the right hands. And just like everybody's just like little complaints here and there. This is just a mess. So
if we organize it, and we like, I don't know, just get everything together and just kind of present Ubisoft with this. Maybe they'll probably be more willing to work with us rather than listening to mindless banter kind of thing. People just coming at them all directions.
Yeah, it's not constructive. It's not helping.
It's not helping at all. Do you know what I mean? Look, at the end of the day, we've got a great map editor. They've started us on something. They're not going to get it right. And I've used this example several times, and we get a lot of people complaining. If it wasn't for what I knew, I probably would be complaining myself. But because there's certain things that I know, and there's certain things that I've experienced, I tend to sort of fall back and wait. Now, the thing is, we're all map makers here. Now, we know when we're building a map, sometimes we think we're getting it perfect. We put it out and we'll find something that's floating or something that's wrong with that map. It's exactly the same for Ubisoft. True. They're not going to be able to fix everything, and they're working on a tighter deadline than we are. Do you know what I mean? So any stuff that we have all the time in the world. We have all the time in the world. Ubisoft do not. Do you know what I mean? So people need to start being a little bit more mature and taking certain things into consideration, because the work that they've put in it so far is great. Not 100%. Don't get me wrong. I'm not happy with everything, but at the same time, I am sitting back and I'm just waiting, because lately Ubisoft have a track record of patching their games. They did it with Division. They did it with Wildlands. They did it with what's that other game as well
Rainbow
too?
Six
Rainbow
Siege
Six
is
Siege.
a
Right,
fantastic example, and I think it's kind
right,
of like I really think that game especially is kind of the model for Ubisoft moving forward.
right.
Just it's the game started out this kind of on its back, and now it's thriving, and I think that they're seeing the value in that type of engagement and long term
Right, give me two
updates
minutes.
and
I'll
all
be back
this.
in a minute.
And I know it's like I understand where a lot of people have these issues. I mean, I was after Far Cry 3 and Far Cry 4, I was a Ubisoft hater. I didn't want to have anything to do with any of their stuff. I wouldn't even buy any of the Assassin's Creed games. If I saw Ubisoft logo, I was trying to avoid it. And just seeing what they're doing with 5, and you can just tell that their pattern is shifting. And this is Far Cry 5 is it's not like the others. So
yeah, it's still in its infancy.
Right.
I
That's exactly it. Well, a lot of people complaints are valid. It's like it's not. It really just it's not like that anymore.
No.
They just if people can just direct those things to in a constructive way, to the right people, we're gonna end up with a really solid game at the end of the day.
I think what people should do at the moment, because they Ubisoft have a lot to do with the editor. They have a lot of bug fixes post launch. They are listening to feedback from the community. So please do not get it twisted, and think that they're not listening, because they are. They can only do so much at this particular moment. So what I suggest you do is either play through the main campaign, just to kill that time off, or build a map like a lot of the community are doing. To build a map. If it's not a multiplayer map, go for the single player for the time being, or the co-op. Just build to your heart's content, because the map editor is really good. It's the best, and then like I said before, I can't see them putting that much effort into putting together a great map editor and not have everything else sort of balanced and polished, sort of like later on down the line.
Yeah.
Well, everything usually has the rule of 2 weeks. If a patch hasn't come out within 2 weeks, then you can definitely tell where the community stands. That's when there should be an outrage. But I mean, give them at least that 2 weeks to address the issue and really become aware of all of the hot fixes that they're going to have to apply. Obviously, first of all, it's going to be the multiplayer. You're going to have to fix the multiplayer to keep the community base going on the editor. There is no game without the multiplayer.
Right.
The longevity of the game just completely dies out.
Right.
Well, I would like to bring up the one major issue I seen. This is a major issue on the consoles. When you're playing multiplayer, you don't know who your teammates are or who the enemy is when you're playing team deathmatch. But on the PC, it doesn't seem to be as much of a problem. I don't know why, but on consoles, the names don't show up. So you're like,
yes, it's kind of right. It's kind of random.
Yeah.
I fell for that. Ended up shooting a teammate.
Which will be great once we start making Vietnam maps.
Oh yeah.
It'll be accurate.
Yeah.
But you're just like wasting your bullets, and your teammate. Usually, I don't have friendly fire on. I have that off. So the enemy will see who's shooting, and you're busy wasting your bullets on your teammate because you don't know who the enemy is.
At that point, it may as well be a death match. Anyway, it may as well just be a free for all.
It's a major flaw on the consoles that they need to fix right away.
Yeah.
I think that the other thing as well too, not being able to hear footsteps as well, because of the perks is quite disorientating as well too. It's, do you know what I mean? Because certain perks work in the arcade as well, and it's easy for somebody to just come up behind you and just do a takedown as normal. Do you know what I mean? Without hearing them, and it's kind of messy in my books. Do you know what I mean? Just those small things. Do you know what I mean? you know, it's definitely a rage quit moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
I had
You
a
know,
couple of those.
yeah, it's just difficult to sort of get the handle. I'm not used to it. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's running around like Black Panthers. You can't even hear the footsteps. You know what I mean? So, but anyway, it's just a small thing. But I've not really messed with multiplayer. But a friend of mine, El Maestro. So shout out goes to El Maestro. He made a couple of points. And one of the points is that the modifiers actually work in the in the multiplayer as well too. So like if you wanted like infinite grenades, do you know what I mean? Like you could just get bombed by grenades. You know, people running around with grenades all day. Do you know what I
You
mean?
could make that fun, but it's typically just grenade
Man,
spamming is usually not a lot
you
of
know what I
fun. But if
mean?
you laid the map out properly, it could be a good time.
Yeah, yeah. So they and then on top of that, yeah, you actually have modifiers for each team. So if you wanted to make a cheat map, like say for instance, I don't know, Johnny
Like
Two
the hunter
Feet,
versus hunted.
yeah, Hunter versus Hunted or something like that. It's like I could turn around and give me superpowers, yeah, right, and you can't kill me or anything like that. You know, you have maps like that. A lot of sort of like really unpolished maps at the moment are coming on, and unfairly built maps as
Yeah,
well.
so I mean, for people that are making maps, I know there's a lot of people that are watching, that will be watching this, that already know about making maps. But for those who don't, there's Lazy Mapper has actually has some concerns about this.
Yeah, too
There's
bad.
a lot of people that just when you're coming in, there's certain things that we've had to learn, and we've had to kind of work out and over the process of building maps. You know, even from way back in the day, a lot of us have been building maps. First, for 12 people, you don't need 10 miles of maps. It gets really just kind of dull. There's no action. Depending on the type of map you're trying to make, if you can't make it interesting, don't just go for big, because
Yeah.
that's just going to kill the map,
See
which
that?
in turn it
Yeah,
kills the
not
multiplayer.
everybody needs a trip to Mordor every time they get on to play.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Because we're looking for a good time, and that's what's going to keep people coming back in, and that's what's going to make this game better. Is if you really can, there's plenty of there's lectures about level design. I mean, you can get on YouTube, but there's plenty of people talking about like proper level design and the use of negative space and all these like design elements. Just focus on try to make a good map.
Yeah, they're more for sort of like advanced. You know what I mean? But, people like ourselves who are a little bit more advanced. And we have experience from Far Cry 2, because if you think about it, Far Cry 2 and Far Cry 3, because the multiplayer has kind of been ripped out the multiplayer was ripped out in 4. So there's a lot of new editors on the horizon who don't know anything
Right.
about building for multiplayer, where some of us have that experience. Like myself, I've built for multiplayer. So for me, I would always go for small to medium maps. Open spaces type of things. People can get to
Right.
everyone. With your spawn points placed in specific areas. The larger maps, yeah, back in the day, yeah, were more built for like sort of like capture the diamond. As a matter of fact, there's a group that's going on tonight that is still playing Far Cry 2. They're actually going on to play Capture the Diamond, the TTA group. On Facebook, yeah, and they're dedicated to that. They are literally waiting to come back.
I mean, capture the whatever. I mean, you can
Yeah.
make it like I said before, you can make it a stool sample as long as you're capturing something and running through this thing, and something you have to focus on other than just shooting. They're gonna implement more mods. I'm confident in that. But what we're gonna get, I don't know. But we need to capture something.
Yeah, definitely. We need another mod in there, but I think that the general thing is, my advice or our advice here would be, if you're building maps, small to medium maps, for people who don't know. So we're not talking about people who are vets in the game, who's been building for a long time. But we're talking about people who are kind of like new to the franchise or who've only been just building single player maps, who came into like sort of like, you know, Far Cry 4. You know, if you're going to build a multiplayer map, you're going to get a really good crowd if you build small to medium sized maps. That Unfortunately, I have to say this, but the Call of Duty type maps are actually really good. You know, small spaces, easy to maneuver
there's a
around.
reason for that. I mean, they're based on pre-existing multiplayer maps, and there's a structure there. But what I think people can do is just you can really just break down the basic structure of those maps and just give them a new skin, just give them new aesthetics, and you have a new map. I mean, essentially, well, you can create anything based on those sort of layouts of those maps.
Yeah, the layouts work really well. It's like high adrenaline.
Were you gonna say Alpha? Was that you? Was that you about to talk?
Totally.
That's
went out for a second.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say with new map makers, a good rule of thumb: if you go into your editor, cut on your grid limits. Every grid limit you can cut it on, because it'll help not only save you time on relative space. It'll kind of give you a guideline, and kind of what I go to is a small to medium map is about 4 grids that for a playable area that isn't too large. And also, do not forget to put your map limits, because you've got millions of grid spaces out there, but those map limits help take the players on getting outside of your map and giving them an area to know where to stay into to be able to be in the gameplay.
Yeah, that's true.
You'll have people wandering off to the edge of the map and jumping off. You know, I mean, if you're not like bringing the player space together and actually setting up your limits. Yeah, there's a lot that goes into that. Leela still was asking, just to deviate for a second.
Yeah,
how people can get in touch with the Far Cry 2 group.
I'm just about putting the link in there right now. I'm on it.
I believe that's on Xbox, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it's only on the Xbox at the moment.
Yes, I mean that's a lot of the mappers that are producing good stuff now. I mean, there are some exceptions of people that came in during like Far Cry 4. There are some exceptions there, but a lot of us we've been doing this since, you know, at least Far Cry 2. So
you're talking about 10 to 11 years of experience.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and some have about 14.
You're not gonna come out just making the best stuff right away, but it really does help to at least try. Yeah. Anyway, we can kick that dead horse.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
just stop making crappy maps, please. That's what we're trying to say.
I'm sure a lot of us will start making some tutorials to help people out. If you subscribe to any of our channels or all of our channels, you know.
Yeah, that's definitely my plan.
If you're
to
new,
go into very in-depth PC tutorials,
or even on Xbox, you know, I would love to help people out. If they have questions, you know, give me an invite, you know, send me a message, and I'll jump into the party and try to help whoever out as well. I'd rather see good quality maps than just photos of people just taking 50 minutes to stick something on the ground. You know, it's not a race, guys. It's all about the quality. Not the quantity.
If you can take a month or two to make a map, you're gonna make something solid. And if for those that don't know, Death Weapon is one of the top map builders in the Far Cry community. If he's offering assistance, definitely take him up on that.
Yeah, we've got 2 of them in here. Do you know what I mean? You know, Death Weapon and Alpha Sergeant 14, man, some incredible builders here.
Alpha Sergeant is also really fantastic and does some things that I've never even seen anybody try to do. So,
yeah,
and he's over there just probably silently crafting a masterpiece over here.
I'm in the editor right now.
I knew it. I knew it. That's why it's crickets on your end. You're just like, your mouth is agape.
I saved it. I exited out. Okay.
Like these guys are like 100% dedicated, man. See, as a matter of fact, everyone here is dedicated. You know what I mean? So yeah, I would say that.
To go in the editor and really understand all the tools.
Yeah, wait for a few weeks. There'll be some new maps surfacing in the next few weeks. I guarantee it. it's always about a month before a game comes out that you'll start to see good maps sort of surfacing, because you've got to get, these people, even though they're good at map editing and that, they're going to get used to the assets. They're going to get used to how the way the map editor works. It's slightly different to 4. There are some similarities, but it's a lot more different, and I'd say it's a bit more complicated as well too. There's a lot more in-depth features to that editor than the one previously. Do you know what I mean? So that you people have got to take that into consideration. We are not going to see any decent maps, and I'm to be honest, I'm actually surprised at Ubisoft as well too. They usually release some good maps, and their maps haven't really lasted that long. So I wonder what happened there.
Well, I think the community is evolving. To be honest with you, like they had you guys. What was it, like 10 to 15 guys go up there and kind of check out stuff, and the maps you guys have produced, they're really letting shine through, and instead of bringing out their own multiplayer, they're letting the community release their own maps, and I think that's smart. I think that's very smart. Showing the assets, everything's created in the editor, so it's showcasing the editor itself whenever you play, instead of the devs using their tools to create their own world, but it's unobtainable. It's doing false advertisement when you actually put in the editor. If you remember from Far Cry 2 and 3, some of the ones that they released, we didn't even have some of those assets.
Yeah, some of those assets weren't even. Yeah, that was
right.
That was actually really.
That was a cheap shot. That's what that was.
That was a big job.
Yeah, so we've covered a lot of ground tonight so far. Now, one of the things that I really do want to discuss is the multiplayer system and the lobby. It is a mess right now. It really is. What have you guys got to say on that?
I have no input.
I've been playing quite a bit of it, and everybody's going to prefer 2. Far Cry 2 is what everybody goes back to, for sure.
Right.
But I also like the system that they implemented now, where we can vote on maps. It doesn't stay stagnant, where you've got one person kind of bullying everybody else, per se. With that, however, I would prefer to see a private lobby that would give us a different take on it, where you can post a dedicated server to whatever maps you would like to do, or showing your friend.
Basically, it will be like an added feature. So like because I was speaking to a friend of mine who's really passionate about this, El Maestro. And he had a lot of concerns, and he was saying that you don't need to take out those 2 features that you have in there, the private match and the player match. But what you need is there is just an added feature where people can select, the player can select a few maps, just basically what we have in Far Cry 2. Have their own playlist.
The playlist concept is fantastic.
And
Yeah.
If
Ubisoft,
I mean, we've already spoken about this, and this message has been passed on through for quite a while, and we've said this, and the thing is, Ubisoft really need to listen to this right now. We need that multiplayer system back that we had in Far Cry 2. We need something like that. If you don't, you're going to see a lot of people drop off very quickly.
If they just implemented that,
integrated it,
just add that onto what you've already got. You don't need to take anything out. I think
you don't need to take anything out.
That's more than enough.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand, like, you don't want to have certain builders like, bullying people and playing only their maps, but there are scenarios where I will gladly sit through every single one of your maps. Death Weapon, Alpha Sergeant. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember Mike G Live.
Mike G Live,
if he had a playlist,
he's back.
I'm sticking around, dude.
Yeah, he's back.
Yeah, he's making some pretty amazing stuff on here right now as well.
I'm not surprised by that dude was like making full on like jumbo jets passenger jets, like out of tombstones, and like just like crazy shit that I never would even imagine.
Another good map maker.
Yeah.
I've not heard that he's back at the moment, but I don't know whether he's back. Boromir Kane.
Yeah.
No, he unfortunately quit doing everything on consoles. He is on PC, but he's doing stuff on Minecraft now.
Okay, all right.
All
I mean,
right,
he was
okay.
awesome. I remember.
Focus.
Yeah, so I mean, if someone like that has a playlist, they're not holding me hostage, man. You don't got to twist my arm. I'll stick around, dude.
Well, I know this for fact, yeah, and this is truth now. If Ubisoft implemented that, they will see more players in and out of the lobby systems like nobody's business. It's going to be full every day.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's not like they're being held hostage there. If you don't like the maps, you can always jump out. I mean, it's not. No one's making you stay in the lobby. Like, if you don't like the playlist this guy's got going on,
so
there's nothing that locks you in there.
So what we need is we need a playlist. We need a playlist. And like just more options. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, I'm still not getting that tattoo, man.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet, man. They haven't. There's those two things. If they get that right, if they get that playlist set up in there, or the zombies and spiders.
Didn't somebody have something to say about there was an issue with the creator and original creator, I think.
Oh yeah. That is definitely a big issue. Right now, Long Rider came across this issue when he grabbed one of his maps that he made for Ubisoft to edit some stuff on it. When he grabbed it, ended up showing when he republished it as him as the original creator, when it should have been Ubisoft as the original creator and him as the author. So the problem people are going to run into is, say you make the map, you're spending a week, 2 weeks on a map, hours day in and day out, and you publish a map. Well, then, somebody comes along and decides, hey, I really like that map, or even unintentional, grabs it and then republishes it, and it's underneath their name as original creator and publisher.
It's got to be a bug then.
That's a bug.
I certainly hope so.
There's no way that I will be publishing any maps until they fix that cause. There's no way I want to be putting like, because I'm one of those people, like, I spend months creating maps. I don't knock them out in weeks. I spend months creating maps, and if I did that and somebody else took the credit for my map, I would be pissed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I might be trying to track someone down and give them a good swift kick in the crotch for that one. Yeah. Which is warranted. I think it's totally within my legal rights to do so, I think. I'm sure it would go over fine in front of a jury.
Yeah. So I think we've covered a lot of the topics tonight.
Yes, there should be a lock option for your maps, as well, as Kid Karma just stated too. So yes. Moving on.
Yeah. So the last topic of tonight that we want to talk about is developers support, launch and post-launch, and how they've sort of integrated into the community, or sort of being sort of like a little bit more transparent now. I feel like if there's any bug fixes and things like that, they need to do sort of like dev streams. They need to come on. They need to come on. They need to show the community what they're looking to fix. It'll put a lot of people at ease, because all I'm seeing right now at this particular moment is a sea of complaints and nowhere to vent. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though there is the forums, we know there's forums because we're part of those forums. But there's a lot of people who are invested in the game, but they don't know about these forums or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? But what they would like to see, what the community would like to see, is we would like to see Ubisoft come out with a video. I don't know, once a month or twice a month. Even if it's just 3 minutes. Saying what things that they're going to patch. Do you know what I mean? Once a month would be sufficient enough. Do you know what I mean? At the most,
it would be nice to
yeah,
have them just be like,
yeah,
all right, everybody, just calm your tits. We're working on it.
right.
Either video or
Unfortunately,
just like
that's just not their style. You know, at least Ubisoft in the past,
or even a
that's
live
just totally
stream.
not their style.
Yeah, it's not their style in the
it's
past,
not
but
that it's not their style, but they are. Sorry, go
I
on,
think
go
we're
on.
dealing with a different Ubisoft at this point. Honestly.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. I'm very hopeful.
I mean, I've already threatened to drive up to Montreal and start handing out hugs. So if they if they fix this, I'm gonna gas up the car and
Yeah.
probably arrested.
So guys,
Yes.
what do you think? What do you think of this? As a matter of fact, Lazy and Johnny2 Fingerz. I'm going to keep you out of it because we kind of know we have certain connections. I don't know about Johnny2 Fingerz. Do you know what I mean? But we have certain connections. So this is mainly to Death Weapon and Alpha Sergeant 14. What do you think about the development support, the devs support, and the community?
I guess so far, like it's a vast improvement over the previous games. I know like Far Cry 2, they ghosted us like the first 2 weeks of launch, and they even come back. Far Cry 3 was a similar situation. 4 just had a lot of controversy around it, so I guess they stayed away from that. I guess understandably, but like with 5, they even like months up to the release, they invited people to Montreal, like you guys. They had the community involved.
Right.
They released map jams, the map contests for computer, for Xbox. They handed out prizes.
Right.
Actually, I think the prizes actually just made it for the last map jam contest.
Right.
But I think just overall, like their I guess their show of just the way they're being involved in the community
is that your personal is that sort of like your personal experience, or is that an experience that you've kind of felt with the people that you're around? Like obviously like myself, Lazy Mapper, Fallen Champ, and the sort of community that's been going on Facebook.
I mean, I guess if I wasn't connected to any kind of community, and if I followed Far Cry, and if I would have saw this like from outside, I would see that they're at least trying to better, I guess, what they did in the past, and just them showing that force of, I don't know, just giving us extra DLC, giving us a good map editor, stuff like that.
Because they actually gave us what we wanted, to be honest. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, there's stuff that needs to be worked out, of course, like the map or the multiplayer, is a little wonky right now, but I mean, I think overall, like they did a really good job kind of bringing everyone back, because like, I haven't seen Death Weapon since Far Cry 2.
Yeah.
He's in here right now. That never would have happened if it wasn't for what they did.
So what about you? What about you? Sorry, guys. So what about you, Death Weapon? Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to get an idea of what's happening, sort of like from the outside, of people who aren't connected with Ubisoft in the way that some of us are.
Well, it's kind of a strange thing. Like Far Cry 2, as I started progressing and get a little bit better known, I guess, for being a map maker, I started getting a little bit of attention from the UB developers there for Far Cry 2, and it was great because I had a voice in the community for a lot of things.
Right.
But when Far Cry 3 came out, it was kind of falling on deaf ears. I felt like 3 kind of started the abandonment, and then 4 kind of killed it for me. But then when I started seeing videos pop up from Far Cry 5, I started getting my hopes up, and like I mentioned before with Johnny2 Fingerz, as he hit the head on the nail with one of his videos, talking about how he felt about the fresh Far Cry, coming into it, feeling let down, and but it's like an ex-girlfriend that we just can't give up. We just keep going back to her, So that's the feeling that I had, and so far I'm extremely ecstatic with what we have. Yeah, there's a lot of kinks, Officer Sergeant, pointed out that need to be worked out with things, but I mean, they're
Right.
really minor in the greater scheme of things that can easily be fixed. So, with my rule of 2 weeks, that's basically it. I feel like we'll have a patch within 2 weeks. If we don't, then I'd have to start looking at maybe we're not going to get the support that we should be getting.
Yeah, at that point at that point it's time to start rattling their cages. But I'm hopeful.
Yeah, so Johnny, what do you think? I mean, the reason why I'm coming to you guys last, especially Lazy, because we, like I said, we have we have certain we have certain connections. Do you know what I mean? So we already know that the support is there. So because like for you, Johnny, yeah, you're kind of like the middle ground. Do you know what I mean? Between sort of like where Alpha and Def Weapon is, and where me and Lazy Mapper is. So how have you felt about Ubisoft and how they are sort of like integrating with the community, or how they're working with the community, should I say?
As far as working with the community, so far, aside from like the recent kind of radio silence, which I can only attribute that to like they've gathered what they need to and they're focused on fixing and updating. But so far so good. I mean, I posted a video breaking down kind of all the things that if I were to make Far Cry, what I would do and how I would make it. And they got almost every single check mark on that list. It was like they took it straight out of my brain and put it into the game. And it was just like that alone. I was like, were they watching me, or are they actually just doing what makes sense now? It's probably the latter. But yeah, I'm really impressed with what they're doing as far as being involved in the community. They could definitely be a little more reassuring and more vocal about, all right, guys, we hear you.
Yeah, I think more visual. I think today with today's technology, and we watch a lot of YouTube and Twitch and stuff like that. I think
we need some better optics from them for sure. Yeah, I'm satisfied so far. Still, like, I'm always going to have that apprehension there, just because it's like PTSD from previous previous iterations of this. But
so Lazy and myself, we have a shared experience. So Lazy, I'd like to know your thoughts on on what you think of the dev team and how they're, sort of communicating with the general community.
Well, I think they've been doing a great job. Now, I do admit they've been kind of silent lately because I've sent them a small list of things that I thought they should fix right away, especially on the console side, with the destructible object problem, some of the clipping issues. And I know Fallen Champ has made some suggestions too. And also, they did get back to me about like private lobbies. They said that we should be able to have less than 6 people, like so you and a friend can check out a map. They said they are working on that. That's the last thing I've heard from them. But some of these other issues, they've been kind of quiet. So hopefully they've been working, to fix and iron out some of the issues that we all have.
Usually if they are quiet. See, the thing is, what I don't see, what they need to change is, it's all well and good, putting all of the bug fixes, in the Ubisoft forums. I think they need to start changing their tactics. They need to put out videos now. They need to start doing so. They need to have that visual relationship with their audience, their core audience. Once we see that, and I've already stated this before. I do play a game called Warframe, by Digital Extremes, and Digital Extremes, are brilliant. With their microtransactions and their communication with their community, it is it is almost on the border of perfect in my eyes. The way that they communicate, they have these dev streams every month, and they talk about all the fixes and all the changes and everything that they want to do. Some things get implemented, some things don't, but they are completely transparent with their community. That's why they've got such a wide community. And that's why they're very well liked. I've been playing that game for what? I think it's now coming up to 4 years. I've been playing this game for Warframe, and I seriously do enjoy those dev streams. I watch those dev streams every time they put them out. Sometimes they're like an hour, sometimes they might be longer than that. It doesn't matter. And I like seeing what they're doing, even things that they haven't even implemented in the game, ideas that they're actually working on. And I think that's a new way to go, especially in today's era now, and Ubisoft would, it would be nice for even when they had, when I was playing Division, some of the patches, they actually did videos on some of the things that they were fixing. But they weren't as often as what you call digital extremes. Do you know what I mean? So I think that instead of just putting a list of bug fixes in the forums, for people to see, it's only a few of that audience that are going to see those patches. I think they need to have that visual communication with their audience, with their wider audience. Personally, I don't know. I don't know what you guys think. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, with any luck, it's it's obvious to Ubisoft at this point that the games like Warframe, and games like that are essentially paying attention, and doing the right things. Hopefully, they're setting an example. Yeah, that's the best you can hope for.
Yeah.
So we are all in agreement that the devs are definitely listening to us, even the community managers as well too. Do you know what I mean? Well, the messages get passed on anyway through the community managers to the devs. But
yeah, I just want to say too, even though I might send a message a little bit directly to the dev team or something, it's always best to be on the forums and say, what problems you have. And hopefully it rings the same tone as me, so they can say, yeah, this is a real issue. The more people that say something, constructive on the forums, the more they're going to get it.
Yeah. So basically what we're saying, these are for people who have tuned into the podcast. Please be sensible, man. We look, at the end of the day, if we have a negative force here that works against Ubisoft at this particular moment, because they've done such a great job so far, if we have this negative force, it's only going to make their game much more worse. So
Yeah.
if we're sensible about things, if we're mature about things, and we go about it the right way, instead of being angry and banging your fists and turning around and saying this needs to be fixed and that needs to be fixed, let's just sit back for a moment and see where they go. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously if they don't patch the game and they don't fix things, they're going to lose their customers. It's as simple as that. Do you know what I mean? It's going to hurt their pockets. We know that. Do you know what I mean? But that's not what they want, because as Johnny2 Fingerz had said, they're running the same sort of model throughout all of their games. Any of the Ubisoft games, they want people to be invested in that game. So they are definitely listening to us. Has anyone else got anything to add to that about the support, and what do you think? What do you think the devs could do to sort of ease the tensions between themselves and its obviously growing community?
They need to keep I guess just in communication with us, because silence is the worst thing that they can do, because it's just going to breed speculation and negativity. So at least a forum post or just something to kind of keep us updated, about their process, if they are going to patch it, if they're not going to patch it, if it's something that's extremely impossible because the engine just won't allow it. We'd rather know that rather than just kind of sitting there speculating hey, why aren't they fixing this, or why aren't they taking the time to really kind of help the community out like they have been in the last few months?
Right.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
So anyone got anything else to say?
Yeah. What about you, Death Weapon? It's some more issues. I know there's no auto scroll that's working too. That's kind of an issue on the consoles.
I think we may have lost him.
Oh, we lost him.
Have we lost Death Weapon?
It seems to be the case.
Yeah, so it sounds like we've lost Death Weapon.
No,
not
again.
No!
he said he's done.
No, we can't hear you, dude.
Yeah, we can't hear him at the moment. So I've forgotten what I was saying before we lost Death Weapon. So
any other issues with the editor?
Oh yeah, that's right. We were talking about the auto scroll. So I've been messing about with it so far, but can't you assign the I've forgotten what you call it. You can assign I've forgotten the name of it now. Do you know the little peripheral that has the arrows on it, the red, the blue, and the green arrow?
Oh, the widget.
It's like a widget thing. Yeah, you can actually move that. You can assign it any.
Yeah, you can assign a different to apply it to a different.
Yeah, you can a different part, a different position. Do you know what I mean?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can actually apply it on the consoles. I don't know if you can.
On the consoles.
Yeah, I don't know if you can do that on the PC because I've not tried it out on the PC. You can
do it on the PC. The only issue that I've had with that is when after you've applied it, if you copy that object, it'll reset
It'll
the
reset it. It'll reset the position.
So the new object doesn't have that parameter applied to it.
Okay.
That's not really even a big deal. To be able to rotate even a group of objects based on whatever selection you have on there. Yeah, I mean they've done a lot of little things like that that are just a massive improvement. I mean, I can get to a bunch of that now, but I'll talk probably more about that.
I think you'll start to see some real, people who've actually had their hands on the editor. I think you're going to see real in-depth tutorials within the next few weeks. Probably once people start putting out their maps and once they've started messing about with the editor. I mean, I can say that I was involved in one tech test. But now that I've got my hands on the actual editor, this is a lot of features there that I hadn't used before. So I'm just sort of like getting used to a lot of the controls. This is on the console. On the PC, it's not a problem for me. Just because it's so similar to Far Cry 4. Far Cry 4's editor with some subtle changes in there.
Now, on consoles, do you have a freeze selection option?
Hello.
I can just about hear you in the background. Do you want to turn your mic up, Death Weapon?
Yeah, let me see if I can do that. Can you hear me better now?
Oh yeah. All right, we're back. We've got Death Weapon back. Right, sweet.
Yes.
Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, so I was asking about freeze selection. Did anybody answer that?
Yeah, we were talking about the difference between console and PC.
Yeah, so on console, can you freeze the selection? Like if you select an object that you want to freeze, so you can't interact with it. Is there a way to do that on consoles? Just out of curiosity.
I've not come across that as of yet. Like I says, I've been playing more of the main campaign, so I've not had actually. Anyone here?
What do you mean by freeze? There's an object. There's a function called freeze selection.
Yeah, so you can.
So if you're building if you're doing a big custom build and you just end up if you want to just do like a large wide selection, but you want to leave one of those objects in there alone, so you just want to move a bunch of other stuff and leave something else.
No, you have to deselect it. You have to manually deselect it.
Okay, all right, that sucks.
We're missing a lot. We're missing a lot from the PC build.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
Search tool
really, I think ideally what they just need to do is just incorporate a mouse and keyboard on the consoles and just get it over with.
Well, they do have that option. Buddy of mine, he does that, but unfortunately, you're still at the mercy of the button selection
You
that
still
they
have the
give
same. Yeah.
Yeah,
like we don't have the search
interface.
tool, nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, with the interface would be the same.
The search tool is like with 10,000 assets, you kind of need a search tool.
I mean, one of the things that that I was a little bit thinged about was there's still no snap tool. I was looking for a snap to snap my objects, and I'm there still, even with the coordinates, because now that you've got the coordinates and you can move I'm still struggling trying to move my my items to put together as well too. So, you know, that's kind of annoying. It would have been nice to have a snap tool, you know, so you can just snap your objects together, just no problem. I think that,
agree.
yeah, yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, didn't they take that? Didn't they take that out of Far Cry 4, the snap tool?
I was under the impression they had snap tool for Far Cry 4.
Yeah, there was a snap tool.
Only for the PC though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm sort of talking about. I'm talking about consoles.
They had snap tool in Far Cry 2.
Yeah, no, they had it in Far Cry 2, but didn't they take it out in 3 and 4?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah,
I don't remember them too.
Yeah,
but we figured maybe they would have it back, you know, because they seem to put so much into the editor now, and but they still seem to cut that short again.
And then I think there's it's going to be an issue with the DLC. I mean, obviously they really do need to. I think the first thing that they need to do before they put out that DLC is do a patch. Do you know what I mean?
No, definitely.
They really need to do a patch, and obviously they'll have to prioritize patches, you know, for different things, which is something that they have to do. They really need to do that. Do you know what I mean? Those patches are important because, I mean, at the moment, my experience is this. Yeah, at this particular moment, I'm going through the campaign. I've only just cleared one region, which is first region, and I'm off doing some small missions and stuff like that. So I'm looking to just sort of like complete the game, and then start going into the editor and so forth. Do you know what I mean? So there should be enough time for them to fix that. Do you know what I mean?
On the snapping note, Leela still mentioned that there's a tool that functions like the snap tool, and you can move the objects by the grid and choose the size of the grid. And one size option is the move by object size, and this allows you to copy and paste objects and line them up perfectly with each other. Is
that PC or console?
I'm guessing he's talking about console, because I think PC just has a straight up like. I think there's a snap tool on PC.
Yeah, this is a snap tool.
Oh, he's talking about PC, so screw what I just said.
Right. Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah. That's what I was thinking, because I was messing about with the with the editor on the Xbox.
On console, the trick is basically you don't want to try to move anything with thumbsticks, because if you're at the wrong angle, like if you're at eye height with an object, it'll move like completely outside of the map if you move that right thumbstick. So always the best idea is to kind of just move it kind of close to where you want it, and then edit coordinates.
Use the coordinates.
The best way to do it.
Yeah. Well, that's
you have full control of that. You have full control of the camera as well as the object at the same time, so you have free look.
That's for people who are really and truthfully. That's for people who are more advanced. But I mean, for people who are just starting out, it's going to be a little bit finicky, just because like you have to go through the options in order to select the coordinates. So to be honest, I can't wait for tutorials to come out. I won't be doing any tutorials just because there'll be a lot of videos out there. I know there's a few people, putting out tutorials. So there's no point in me adding to that. I know Johnny, you said that you're looking to do some tutorials as well too.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be I'm working on a build, my first build right now, and I'm basically just gonna be using my build process and breaking down, a lot of the custom building stuff, because really my first build is just this massive, just like everything's custom built in this map. So I'm really going to be going over a lot of like the object tools and stuff like that to start with. So it's kind of, I'm jumping into the advanced stuff. But once I've got everything laid out, I'll start kind of going into the the terrain tools and kind of get into a little bit more basic just aesthetics there. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be like picking this thing apart, like talking about as many of the features as I can. So.
Right.
I mean, it's going to be on PC, so there's only so many people that are going to benefit from that. But yeah.
Right, guys. I'm gonna let you lot take over the podcast. Lazy, I'll leave it in your hands for 5 minutes. I just need to go and quickly do something.
Okay.
So
Sure.
yeah, take over for a few, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna be doing some tutorials for the console. I know Long Rider is, and Fallen Champ has already made a short one, so I'm sure we'll all make a couple tutorials. I already have some of the clips already made. I just haven't got it together right this minute. I've been busy trying to play some of my maps that I have on PC and on consoles, and I could tell it's a real pain if you're just by yourself. It could take up to like a 40 minutes to an hour just to get your one map played. And I have made complaints myself that the time goes by very fast for you to pick your map.
Yeah, that's something I've been hearing quite a bit actually. Is that like you just don't have enough time to vote? Like some of the even thumbnail images don't stay up or don't even pop up at all. You just get like this static.
Yeah. I actually recorded it and sent it to the dev team and said, how can somebody pick their map? I said, you got featured maps should be up front, or you have to look through a list real quick to pick your map. Now, some guy, I was listening to him on Xbox, he was telling me, please pick my map, but he wasn't up to choose. So he was asking us to try to search for the map. I'm like, that's impossible. It's just, maybe when his map came up for him to pick it, I chose it for him. But it's difficult system right now. It needs some tweaks. That's what I could say.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And also the devs did say that they're going to put in, I believe, in the private lobby where you and a friend could play a map, like just one-on-one. So like, let's say you want to see if the map plays right and all, you can kind of test it out. And I have already made maps where I didn't like something and I went back and changed it and republished it, and it fixed whatever I was working on. And you'll see a volume 1 or a volume 2, depending on how many times you republish the map, on top of that map. So that feature is new and that is working for me. I don't know about everybody else.
So it's basically going to mark it. It's like, this is version 1, version 2. It'll basically kind of like let whoever's, basically be able to see it, as you're about to play it or download it.
Exactly. And I didn't lose my votes or how many times it was played either. So
okay, that's cool. Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't lose anything.
That is really interesting.
Well, does that mean that you could have a map up and you get a bunch of votes on it and you just want to change the map entirely and just upload it to a different map with the same votes there? Because that shit can get a little weird there, man.
Essentially, yes, you can.
It's like, why is this map is like one house and it's a team deathmatch. It's a little crowded in here, and it has like the best. Yeah, that's funny.
I rather them keep it, even if people can exploit it. I mean, I like the idea that
I
you
agree.
could fix something, and it could raise your votes to a higher. If you have some little thing that's a bug that you didn't like in there, somebody gets stuck in your map, in an area, you could fix
Here's
that.
The problem that I have right now as well is, you can like a map, you can skip your vote, or you can dislike it. And I believe the dislike button should be taken out altogether. And the reason is because, if you start a map out at 1 star, it can only go up. But if you start giving people dislike buttons, say it's an early build, you put you up there and you get some criticism, constructive criticism from different people, and you make your map better and you really work towards that. Well, you've already got all these down votes you have to go against the negativity of everything to get that map back up. And you can only vote a map once. So there is no redemption once somebody down likes it.
That's true.
Okay.
I mean, I think I would agree with that too. Because let's just say you just got people that don't like you for some reason, and they come in there and dislike your map right away. So you're stuck on the bottom. You know, a lot of people will have friends and they'll vote up their map and it already has a lot of stars and it's an early map, so it gives it momentum to grow. But if you just have people that don't like you for some reason, then you can, you know, have your map stuck on the bottom because you got this dislike button.
Can I just interrupt?
Knocks the feet out.
Can I just interrupt a second? Kid Karma says any guidelines on console object limits.
The grid lines, grid limits.
It's a grid. Yeah, grid limit.
You have 4 times the amount on console that you did from Far Cry 3, if that helps at all. With the exception of physical objects, once you start putting in physical objects, things that move or break or explode, your budget gets shot. A good example, if you go into structures and you lay down a building that is fully furnished, you cannot put it into one grid because there's so many physical objects involved in it.
Right.
A good rule of thumb for early map makers as well is you get a blue line for the grids. If you center larger structures in between 4 grids, put it onto the plus, you'll get more out of it. It'll divide it into 4s.
Yeah.
Also, someone has been saying, I forget who said it in here. I'd have to scroll up, but they were talking about using lighting and how that, like, if you keep your lighting budget at like 85, you're less likely to have issues when playing multiplayer, where they're you know, certain particle effects with like bullet ricochets and bullet holes and stuff like that haven't been showing up because the lighting has been too high. And he was saying to keep it around 85% instead of 100%.
Is that on both the consoles? And
I think he's talking about
PC.
Console.
Is that console or PC? Right.
I'm assuming he's talking about console.
It was Grawl2 Robs. He said that he had an issue when it was closer to 100 or something. He said he had some error, but when he put it down to about 87, below 87, it started working. I believe that's what he wrote earlier. So I said that was a good point for me to try to remember. That was with the lighting and stuff.
Right. Shout out goes to Long Rider, who's just joined the chat.
I mentioned Long Rider's doing some tutorials for his channel.
Right. Yeah, he's doing some good stuff on his channel. I've been watching him do some lives. So we're gonna see some more SpongeBob stuff.
Why am I not subscribed to him right now? Am I?
You're not subscribed to Long Rider?
Let me double check. I'm sorry.
I think Johnny2 Fingerz needs a slap.
I need something. Yeah. No, I'm subscribed. I lied.
All right, cool. You're lucky.
See, a little subscribe me.
Saved.
All right, my bad. I'm on here. Yeah.
So yeah, man, it's nice to have another legend in here, and we have Far Cry Universe, Dapper Hayden. We have in the chat. It's good to see everybody here tonight. Absolutely fantastic.
It is really a trip to see all these names that I remember.
Well, not to mention, you know, Alpha Sergeant 14 and Death Weapon. I mean, Death Weapon, my God. Like, sorry for gushing. I've got to say this. Like, when I started mapping in 2008, but I never knew what could be done until 2010 when I started seeing some map. Well, that's when I started sort of building like more seriously, like you know, sort of like custom built stuff. I started like doing like big like mechs and ships and stuff like that. You know, really complicated stuff. But I never knew, and you know, one of the editors that I was introduced to was Death Weapon. I had seen a lot of Death Weapon stuff. I seen a lot of Boromir Kane. I saw a lot of sort of Mike G lives. Do you know what I mean? Even Kismek as well too. Do you know what I mean? Kismek, Muzzletoft, the Baldy. Do you know? Because I used to hang around with those three, and you know they taught me so much. And going around and seeing you guys maps, it was like, oh wow, I can think outside the box. Because when I first started, I was just laying the pre-built assets down and building maps that way. I never knew that you could. You know, that you could literally make your own stuff. You know, it never dawned on me until I started seeing like big stinking transformers fighting in sand dunes and you know, like Lord of the Rings, and it just blew my mind completely. Do you know what I mean? So like, you know, you guys are the guys that I looked up to round about that time, and that influenced me to build the way that I'm building right now today. You know, like 10, 11 years later. Do you know what I mean? So seriously, man, it's really nice to have you guys on the podcast and sort of, you know, talk to a couple of legends in my books.
Yeah,
You know what I
definitely.
mean?
You guys are okay, I guess.
No, I think Death Weapon is the real MVP here, though.
Yeah, definitely.
Totally.
You guys are okay.
Well, Alpha, you have some awesome maps.
Jesus Christ, man.
No.
Yeah,
I'd be
so-
afraid
Well,
if Weapon went to PC, God knows what would happen.
Well, how many
Man.
PCs are going to be broken?
Well, I mean, Sergeant, you know, even talking about years and stuff, I still remember when you very first started editing, you know, you jumped to the parties and we got to talk and you're like, hey, man, come check out my map. And I was just totally blown away with some of the stuff that you were doing, you know? So, I mean, it's vice versa, man. And it's great to have a tight-knit community. And, you know, I wouldn't be who I am as a mapper today without, you know, Mike G, Boromir Kane, you know, a lot of the other guys and stuff too. We sat in there and really played off of each other and gave each other ideas or alternate ways of doing things. And I'm hoping that they bring that back in Far Cry 5 because right now, you know, you can't just kick it with somebody else and be like, hey, come check out my map. I'd like your opinion on it, or you know, things like that. You really need that to keep the community going.
Truth.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we've talked a lot tonight. We've had some OGs. We've got some OGs in here.
Yeah,
for certain. It's actually been I thought this podcast was going to be a little bit more brutal on Ubisoft, but I think everyone shares the same sentiment when I say that. You know, we're sort of more mature about how, you know, we go forward as fans of Far Cry Arcade, and I think that it's now in Ubisoft's court what they do next, you know, as far as sort of patching and keeping in communication with its community. I think it's imperative, especially at this moment. If they don't start patching the game within the next sort of few weeks, me personally, I would give them about 3 weeks max. Do you know what I mean? But within the next 2 weeks, we need to start seeing some patches. We need to start seeing some videos explaining those patches. Do you know what I mean? Or something from Ubisoft. It would be nice to have that. Do you know what I mean?
I would be happy with an announcement of a patch.
Well done.
Johnny2 Fingerz just got colour back in his face.
Look at that.
Oh wow! Well, you had to throw the boot in there on that one, Lazy, right?
That's
No, man, that's bad, man. That's a bad joke, man.
But they did exactly that, though. They were like, "We got an announcement coming up." Like, I would take that at this point.
Yeah, I would take that.
Drop that announcement of the upcoming announcement.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Fury. All right, so Kid, I keep forgetting that Kid Karma is Fury. Yeah, Fury is a legend himself as well too. So yeah, I completely forgot. Yeah, change that because I get confused, man. I've got to remember everybody's name.
Yeah, that is exactly why I kept Johnny2 Fingerz. I knew someday Ubisoft would fix things, and then I'd want to be known as the same guy I was back then.
Yeah. So yeah.
So everybody get your name in order.
There's actually a few things that I want to sort of like talk about as well too, just before we get off. It's just a couple of experiences that I had in the main campaign, which was absolutely brilliant. I've
got at least one or two of those.
Yeah, there was one situation that I got in, and I really do want to talk about this because I think it's really fun. the world of Far Cry. I know it's going back to the campaign. We've talked about every subject, yeah, but I wanted, because I forgot to mention this at the beginning, but in the campaign I was playing, and I saw this dog chasing this woman that I'd just saved, right? And I thought the dog was chasing the woman, so I shot the dog. And the woman turned the shotgun on me and just took me out. I was like,
You
"Oh
killed her
my
dog.
yeah." Well, I didn't know. I didn't know that
She was
it
going
was
for
her
a jog
dog.
with her dog,
But
and she.
but but
Well,
it's
I mean, to be fair,
wow.
you are a cop.
But it was moments like that, yeah, that I thought, wow, that's absolutely crazy. And then I came across a situation, yeah, it was actually quite funny. I just saved this guy, right? I just saved him, and I was about to talk to him to get a mission off him, yeah, and he got ran over by an enemy. Just straight ran him over flat. I'm like, where's my mission gone? But I know they do sort of like respawn. But and then there was another. I had another thing where I shot this guy out of an aeroplane. I think it took me like 3 shots with the sniper rifle. And the guy was coming at me, yeah, because I was on this hill. As a matter of fact, it's in the video, the last video that I did. I did like a little sort of like farming video. And I just took the sniper rifle, yeah, and popped him, and you seen his lifeless body, yeah, just fall out of the aeroplane, yeah, and the plane just crashed like over yonder. Do you know what I mean? Beyond the trees and that.
Yeah.
And there is so many moments. There is
So his body literally ejected when you shot him.
Yeah, well, he didn't eject. Yeah, he just fell out
Okay.
the plane. Do you know what I mean? Like the door just,
He
he just slumped out of the
He just
plane,
kinda
and you just,
ragdolled out.
yeah,
That's
and you
fun.
just saw his lifeless body just fall out the plane and just hit some rocks over the mountain somewhere. Do you know what I mean?
Jeez.
Yeah, I had a funny airplane incident too. I was freeing that one town that was in the demo. I forget what the hell the name of the town is. Where the girl that runs the bar, and yeah, I don't know. I'm terrible with remembering the names of that stuff. So there's that part where you have to like shoot the plane that's flying over the town and attacking it.
All right.
And I've been, I was shooting at this plane, and it like this thing was dive bombing at me, and it like I destroyed the plane, and it was coming straight at me, and it literally like this was a funny. I don't know if it's a bug or what. I'll probably post that in the beginning of my next video actually. The plane essentially bumped into me, and like flipped over on its back. It was the most ridiculous thing. It didn't even explode. It just like came out and went dink, and then flipped over, and it's just like laying in the road.
Yeah.
Like this is the weirdest. It was gonna be one of the weirdest things I've seen. Yeah, the airplanes are funny.
And the other thing as well too, if you're in first region, man, she messes with your head, man. Seriously, she really does mess with you. It's messed up, man. It's really messed up.
Yeah.
Have you been in first region?
No.
Well, I'm not gonna spoil it then. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, she messes with you, man, a lot. Do you know what I mean? And
Fair enough.
until you take her out, man, she messes with you. So it's funny to have all of these like little stories that you can sort of tell. But I would definitely advise, especially for map makers, I know a lot of people just went straight into the editor and that. Yeah, go play the main game, because it is definitely worth it without question. You'll find some little things, yeah, that just they really make you think.
It is a lot of fun. There's a lot of really goofy things that happen though too. Like when I got a boomer, and I jumped into this truck, and of course, like, I've been a dog owner in the past, and when you get into a vehicle, the dog hops in the passenger seat. That's just inevitable. But Boomer doesn't ride shotgun. Instead, he runs out in front of your truck.
Well, you squashed him.
Yeah, no, I definitely sent him flying into a fence.
Wasn't that a thing? Because I'm sure I saw a video, yeah, where you could actually put Boomer into the back of your truck, or he would just normally jump into the. I'm sure I've seen a video like that.
I would love that if that's the case, because he definitely did not get in the truck with me. He ran out in front of me, and
I wonder why
him
that
careening
wasn't
into the fence. And I have like a weird thing about shooting animals anyway. So like a game like Far Cry, it's like you kind of have to. So I have to kind of desensitize myself to that all over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and running over Boomer was just like, oh, God, I'm sorry. And then having the dogs coming at you, and I'm just like, I don't want to kill you. You're a bad dog. And to shoot them.
Man, I've seen
the one thing that really bothers me, and I did make a video about this before I even had my hands on the game. I just knew this was going to be an issue. The wildlife and the way they have it set up is just like it's just random spawning. I think I ran into 3 mountain lions within like maybe a square mile, and that just mountain lions are one of the most elusive predators in nature, and I ran into 3 of them. So that was
it's sort of like the games are sort of like tongue in cheek. It wants to, it's serious when it has to be, but I think the game knows that it's really meant to be fun. Now
it's not taking itself too seriously.
So now for me personally, this is not because I'm a Far Cry fan. Because in the past, I've never really bothered with the main game too tough. I've always sort of gone into the editor and things. But with this version, I'm completely hooked. And there's this saying that's gone around for quite some time that Far Cry 5 is Skyrim with guns. I think in this one, it definitely is Skyrim with guns. It definitely sort of like, but it's his own thing as well too. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is very, very similar to that. The one thing that, speaking of Skyrim, what they do need to do is that your damn objective marker, the flashing yellow beacon in the middle of your screen, they need to put that on the compass and take it out of your field of view. That's one cue from Skyrim that they should be taking. Anyway, no more complaints out of me.
So we're about to wrap everything up. So has anyone got anything to say about tonight? Because it's been quite a long podcast and we've had a lot to say. And guys, thanks for being so mature about it. There is a little bit of anger in there, but it's really not anger. It's more sort of like what's the word now? I'm just trying to think. It's more of a case of, I think it's more of a case of everyone just being a little bit patient because we already know that they are working hard on this game. They've put a lot of effort into it before launch, and we're just waiting to see what they do post launch, especially with the DLC coming out. It won't be long before they put that DLC out. What do you reckon about a month after launch? Do you know what I mean? We'll start to see some DLC possibly. I don't know.
Hopefully they patch it first.
Yeah,
of course.
Usually DLC starts running around after about 2 to 3 months for majority of games that I've seen anyway.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I'd like a nice like at least a few patches, just kind of tidy things up a little bit before they start sending that out. I've already got all the DLC. I just went ahead and just went, I went balls out and just got all of it.
Season pass. I went for this.
But if I hadn't, I would be really annoyed at them offering these sort of paid DLCs before the game's fixed. So that would really not make sense at this point.
Right. We're gonna wrap it up. Thanks for turning up. Obviously, as you can see, for people who've tuned in, we went for a different approach. I usually have a different screen, but we're using cameras. So this is kind of like a test. It's nice to sort of like see who's talking. So we've gone for a slightly different approach. If you like this, if you like the way that we're doing things, just comment me. Get at me on Twitter, please. Twitter is the best place to message me. At Kemet1976. Look for the black and white logo. You'll find me. Just hit me up on Twitter. Did I say Twitch? I'm forgetting my words. I meant to say Twitter.
I think you said Twitter.
Twitter.
So hit me up on Twitter. If you like the format, if you or Facebook, if you know me on Facebook as well. Nice to have some legends in here. You can catch me. You can
maybe if you can give a link to the Facebook as well, because a lot of people have been talking about that's one of the best ways to devs to pay attention to things through the Far Cry Facebook.
Right.
So is it the Far Cry Maps Facebook, or is it a different one?
There's two of them.
There's two of them. Is somebody going to put those in the? See, even after this video, I don't know if anyone's going to be able to. I think Twitch has a funny thing of losing links or disabling links for some reason. Once the video's done, or once the stream is done. So I think what we'll do next time for the next podcast. We'll make sure that we put some links in there. I'll try and find a way that people can access things as we're talking. We're always growing, we're always learning, and if anyone's got any suggestions on how we can improve our format, then we're definitely up for that, for definite. We're always going to have problems with sound, so please don't don't message me about sound, because that is completely out of my hands. That just depends on the connection and the company that use the Wi-Fi and whatnot, broadband service. So I'm out of here tonight. Guys, you want to do your outros and just...
Yeah, I'll just say that on Monday I'm gonna try and have. You'll see my girlfriend been on chat, and I'm giving her a shout out because she keeps asking for one. Lazy Mapper. So
shout out to Lazy Mapper.
Yeah, shout out to Lazy Mapper.
Yes.
There you go. So we're gonna try some, play some multiplayer maps. Me and her together, and maybe a couple other guys who have some maps done. I'll post it. I have a Far Cry content creators group on Xbox. I'll post that up on there. If somebody wants to join us Monday. Now that's all I have to say. Johnny2 Fingerz.
Yeah, so I'm going to be posting, I'm going to really just start my tutorial series here. I'm actually going to be starting to really work on that today. I'm going to be kind of posting a preliminary video of that on my YouTube channel. If you don't already know my YouTube channel, it's Johnny2 Fingerz with a Z. Yeah, I've got a bunch of Far Cry content on there already. So, yeah, if you're interested in tutorials, or if you just want to hear me, my social commentaries on video games in general, yeah, go check me out there. I will be on Twitch occasionally streaming. Yeah, Twitter, the whole works, the whole gamut.
Right. Okay, that's absolutely fantastic. With me personally, guys, I'm gonna be doing some videos, more sort of like cinematics, if you don't know. So you can find me on YouTube at Kemet1976. And that's basically it. We have Alpha Sergeant 14 and Death Weapon here. So do you wanna let people know what you're up to next?
So Alpha Sergeant 14, on PC, Xbox. I'm actually trying to start a YouTube channel just for like quick, like a little bit of tutorials, as well as like speed mapping videos.
Just do some straight up Bob Ross type of stuff, man.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
Yeah,
I would love to see how you make some of them assets in there. They're really awesome.
I definitely got the time now, so yeah, I'm gonna start doing that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And what about Death Weapon? What kind of map are you working on?
Right now, currently, and slow going, but it's a robot map that's 50 years after the aftermath of over by the robots, and we set off an EMP, and now we're left in the city with all these downed robots fighting over our new government. So should be out.
Let's write a book.
That sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I've been off a lot on this one.
Right, guys. It's been an amazing podcast. Like I says, if you like the format, just let me know. If you didn't like the format, let me know. Catch me on Twitter, or catch us on Twitter. And it'll be you know, it'd be great to see what happens with Ubisoft next. We're out of here tonight. So yeah.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Yep.
Awesome.
Thanks for watching. Take it easy, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for the invite.
Yes.
All right.
Oh yeah.
Are we offline?
Not yet.
Oh no. We are.